Starting the meeting. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting for 16 December for Rotary International, St. Petersburg, and we are a small group, but we have been attracting some very big stars, and tonight we're going to have another one of them as our guest speaker. And as the current president of the organization, I am just so thrilled by the response we are getting out of the things that we've been sending out in the mail. Randall and I put together a Christmas card and sent it out to over 200 people around the world who come to our meetings, and they have responded very generously. And now they're wanting to do sponsors for our projects. I'll be talking about that a little bit later this evening. And it looks like they're going to go forward. We also have people who want to take our bench project and expand it also. And we're going to be talking about their bench project also. So there's two projects we'll be talking about later this evening. But it makes me so happy to be here and to be part of this, because we have found, as many of you already know, with this lockdown, with this COVID virus we have, people have been reaching out beyond borders that they never reached before. They're actually stretching their hand out and touching people around the world. Look around the screen tonight. We have Denmark, we have Germany, we have India. Where else have we got? We got people here who are from Canada and from Russia. We have people of different cultures. Oh, there's Mr. David Fishman from the United States also.
Good evening, my President Michael and
good evening,
Randall.
We have people from all over the world coming to our meetings, and we could not have done this before unless we really were a quite advanced club. Now it's easy to reach out to the fellow Americans and fellow humans around the world and bring them in as one unit. This is something that has been needed for Lord knows how many years. We need to reach out and reach around the world and let everybody know we're the same. I keep telling people, and they don't believe me, when I work in 16 different countries, I tell them, you are all the same. You're not unique or greatly different. Just because you live in India or Denmark or Germany or America, you have a spouse, you have children, the children go to school, you might have parents, older parents that you have to take care of, you have to take out the garbage, you have to pay the taxes, you've got to be friendly with your neighbors or they'll call the police. It's the same thing everywhere. It's not any different. It looks different, the language sounds different, and maybe the temperatures are different. But you are living a similar life, and we're all humans on this earth going through the same basic trials and tribulations, the same tyrannies, the same pressures, all these things that other folks are going through. Some of us have more, some of us have less, but we all have our turn in history to be in that position. Now we're able to reach out with this internet to talk to these people and build understanding. One of the things that our club has been able to do is bring people in from the ICC and other global organizations that want to grow peace around the world, between the United States and Russia, between Germany and Russia, between Turkey and Armenia, people who want to try to build peace. These clubs are reaching out to us. I can't say we did anything special and we're humbled by it, but we are in the middle of the connecting point of bringing people from around the world together to talk about peace and about serving folks around the world. So we are very, very honored and very happy to be doing that this evening and for the last several months. We will continue to do it. After the first of the year, we'll be doing more. I'll be talking about that later tonight. And we're kicking it off on 13 January with Wilf Wilkerson, a past Rotary International president. He was the top person, and he will be coming on to speak for us on January 13th. And we are building our lineup for the spring. We will continue to offer all of our people those type of speakers because they bring attention to our club. And when we ask for donations for those things, that projects that we want to work on to give back to our community, we are getting contributions already. So it's working very, very well. So we were very, very lucky, and we got some good people in the club who are doing good things. So those are sort of my comments this evening, just to kick things off. I'm going to turn it over to Randall for a minute and let him give us a little bit about our secretary's report. Randall, will you please do that?
Thank you very much, President Michael. Very quickly, a couple little comments. I have a little presentation here. I'm sharing my screen. There you can see Secretary's notes for today. Let's make sure this plays. Okay, there we go. So first of all, the happy news that Santa likes to go to the ATM, and he appreciates it very much if people pay in advance their dues, which include both the Rotary International dues and the district dues, which are assessed as of the 1st of January. So all of us have to pay, the club has to pay on the 1st of January for us, so we need all of our members to pay. And our treasurer, who just made signs of excitement, he loves it if we pay in advance.
Mhm.
Second news is that, as Michael said, we are the tiniest club on the planet, attracting the biggest movers and shakers of the Rotary and now the Toastmasters world. We have a past president of Rotary International, Wilf Wilkinson, who was the president in 2006 and 7. You can see that from his jacket. He was asked by Antonina, who is our deepest, darkest friend from the Quinty Sunrise Club, to come and speak to us, and he agreed. He tried on the Rotary International website to find us, couldn't find us. I tried the same day, I couldn't find anything either, but I think that was because of a technical problem. And then a couple of days later, I checked and found that we're all there, so we're a legitimate club. We're not some sort of scam. And he is going to speak to us. So this is a really big thing. I find it hard to describe to you how big a thing it is to have a Rotary International president or past president speak to a club. Because normally, in Rotary, we have 36,000 clubs around the world. So when a Rotary International president is president, he tries to visit a few, but normally he visits districts or multi-district meetings. And for a little club to attract a president, it's a big thing. So we have one coming. And I would hope that we will have a lot of international visitors come, and hopefully we can attract a lot of guests. So that's my last and most important slide, is that 2020 has been a strange year for all of us as humans and all of us as members of clubs, and we have had to adapt. And as you have seen, we've gone through waves. So now we're in our second, third wave here in St. Petersburg. We're approaching the new year. The government is enforcing more stringent lockdowns, and we all want to survive and thrive and prosper in the future. So this is important. But as clubs, we need to cope with our current reality and build towards the future and still get stuff done. So what we need from our own club members, number one, we need you to invite your friends to our meetings tonight. So you'll see that we have a visitor today who is a long-term member of our local community, but he's a foreigner from India. We need to reach out to people who are here, who have deep roots, but who come from other places and who find that an English language meeting might be attractive to them. And we need people from all sorts of professions. So we've got a spa guy, we've got a professional speaker, we need at least one restaurateur. And who knows what else? We have a philosopher, we have a music conductor, we have a, how do we call it, Andrea? Andreas is a specialty
Financier.
He's a financier making specialty papers, so he's got a unique niche. We as Rotarians represent we hold in esteem all vocations and professions, and we need to have a cross section of vocations and professions. So it's important that we have the restaurateur. It's important that we have the Indian restaurateur. It's important that we have a Chinese restaurateur. It's important that we have a photographer and a cinematographer and all sorts of different professions. And why is that important? Because with these different people and their own professional networks and their own professional expertise, we can get a lot of stuff done without paying a lot of money. So we are open to everybody. We need all of our members to invite their friends. And I'm a new guy on the block, so I don't know that many people, but I think that all of you have at least one friend in St. Petersburg who hasn't come to our meeting that you could invite. So I would like you to keep that in mind and invite those people, especially when we have speakers like we have today who are very, very accomplished motivational speakers. When we have visiting high-level Rotary dignitaries who have something to say, because they've been around the block. That is the perfect time to invite a guest. And now it costs absolutely nothing. Sorry, I've got to bring a couple people in from our waiting room. How do I do that? I don't think I can do that at the same time. Kai, do you know how to do that? Can you do that?
What, bring him in from the waiting room?
We've got a couple of people in the waiting room, but I can't show the presentation at the same time and click the button. Second thing we need, we have a mailing list. As Michael said, we're reaching about 250 people each email blast, but we need more. I don't know how to add people to our mailing list. We need more potential people who might like to join our online meetings, whether they're in Russia or abroad, and especially if they're Rotarians. Please, if you know anybody, tell me so I can add them to the list. And number three, we have, I think, done a very successful job in introducing and bringing to our meeting interesting speakers. And whether they're inside Rotary World or outside Rotary World, it makes a difference if you have interesting speakers come to your club. And we need more. So please, all members of our club, we know all of our challenges right now, but there is nothing stopping us from inviting people to come and speak to us. And after 8 months of this, dealing with this virus, many people around the world have become more digitally enabled and familiar with speaking and using tools like Zoom. So it's not that hard. And so we want more people to come and speak to us. So that's my last remark, Michael. Back to
Okay,
you.
if you'll go let those people in who are hanging out there and wanting to come in.
Okay, I can't find my mouse. Where's my mouse? My mousey's disappeared. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Don't let that mouse disappear. He may run around the house because Santa's not here, so he's not sleeping yet. He will go to sleep when Santa comes, as we all know in the poem. So he'll be doing that soon. For everybody else's information, also, we not only bring people in who are Rotarians to speak with us. As he said, we have some successful high-level Rotarians come in. But also, last week, we had a watch manufacturer here. And for those of you who are here, his speech was exceptionally interesting, very. He re-energized a company that was started in 1721 by Peter the Great. And it kind of died off. He brought it back. He's making watches and doing well now. That's quite an accomplishment. And his story last week was really, really amazing. We do have it saved to our website. You can go there and find our previous speakers, as we will do tonight. When we're finished, we will put it on our website and you go visit some of the people who have spoken before. And they're very, very interesting. So we encourage that very, very much. Thank you, Randall, for your feedback and your inputs. You're always verbose, and we're happy to see that you're trying to continue to bring people into the club. That's very, very important. My next thing I need to do is to bring in an individual who I'm not quite sure when I met him. I think I met him about somewhere, if I can remember correctly, I believe probably I'd say 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. And I think that this person is probably one of the most dynamic people that I have ever met. To me, he is so very, very interesting. When I went to a meeting, they told me that, Michael, you and DJ are going to be doing some improvisation together. And I thought, who the heck is DJ? I don't know this guy. He's a stranger to me. I don't have any clue. And all of a sudden, this guy pops on the screen and he starts talking. And I have to pick up his conversation. For those of you who don't know about Toastmasters or aren't real familiar with it, in improvisation, we ask people to speak and then other people just jump right in and speak following them. You cannot drop a word. You cannot drop a subject. You just got to keep going. So DJ and I went back and forth. We got a few other people involved. It was a very, very successful evening. And that was the beginning of a friendship a little bit for the both of us. And we have talked many times since then. This individual, when he started first talking, was a little bit shy as a child. When he got into college, he joined Toastmasters, and he was slow to start at first, but then he took off. He took off so far that he has founded he's been the president of 9 different Toastmasters clubs. He has been an area director, a district director. He has done many, many things in Toastmasters. And we have a speech competition every year. And in his district, 3 out of 5 years in a row, he was the champion there. Very, very few people are ever able to accomplish that. And he's also been a runner-up in the world's competition of international speakers. He's been a runner-up in that also. This man has taught more than 1,000 motivational sessions for businesses and clubs around the world. So he's got a lot of experience. I don't know how a man this young can get so much done, but maybe he's a little bit older than when he looks. But DJ is a very active, very alive Indian who is helping people around the world. And it doesn't matter what country you're in, he will come speak. And now that we're online, he's very engaged. So I would like for all of us to put together our hands, and I would like to welcome Mr. Deepak Justin, better known as DJ to his friends, to the stage and let him tell us a little bit about service before self. And his speech is titled, Acing Your Serve. Deepak, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that wonderful introduction. I always love your energy. When I was first introduced to Michael, I was told Michael is 72. I said, no, he's got the energy of a 27-year-old. I think the age has to be put in reverse if he were to equate it with the energy and the sheer enthusiasm with which he anchors this particular role or essays any role for that matter. Thank you, everybody, for inviting me for this wonderful meeting. Picture this. It's early in the morning. It's pitch dark. It's freezing cold. Your hands are shivering. Your legs are trembling. The fabric of your entire being is quivering. You step outside because there's a fire inside. The fire inside is consumed by a passion, fueled by an obsession. As you step outside, you realize you're at an altitude of a few thousand feet away from the ground zero. You look up, there's another mountain peak for you to climb, which is probably a few hundred feet away from you. You need to climb, but you look up and you say, I've done that before. Climbing another mountain peak one more time is not going to be difficult for me. But this time around, it's not your climb, but you need to make an entire team also climb along with you. Now, my dear friends, you have 2 choices. Number 1, you can climb your way to the top, drop all the ammunition that is required for the others to climb up to the top, give them instructions and pull them along. Or number 2, you can stay at the bottom. You can allow everybody to climb up to the top as you stand below and chant the lines of the good old song, if you fall, I will catch, and I'll be waiting time after time. The difference in your decision lies in the kind of leadership style that you advocate towards. The first leadership style is called the top-down leadership style, where you believe you got to get to the top and others have to follow your instructions. A typical top-down leader is a person who thinks he's the smartest in the clan. He's a person who believes that he's entitled to authority and power. He's a person who believes that everybody below in the bottom line has to listen to him or her. And the fourth most important reason is the person believes that he or she is superior to the others down the line. The second kind of leadership style is called the bottom-up leadership style, where the person believes it is my responsibility to make everybody reach their peak potential. The onus is on me in order to push everybody to the top. And I'll be the last person to make the climb because I know I've already been there. Well, my dear friends, this kind of a leadership style is called the bottom-up leadership style or the servant leadership style, where service comes before the self. The title of my talk was a simple play of words borrowed from the game of tennis. I remember when I was a child and I used to play tennis for a very brief time, my coach always used to tell me, a good player can serve an ace anytime. It takes a good player to serve an ace of the first service. It takes a remarkable player to serve an ace of the second service. But when I got into the leadership track, I realized that serving an ace is probably something that is appropriate for the game of tennis. But acing a serve is something that is more relevant towards a good leader. A good bottom up leader is a person who knows exactly how to ace a serve or how to make his or her serve much more relevant or much more appropriate. And that is what I'm going to dwell on for the remaining part of the time that is given to me. I belong to a city called Bangalore, and my hometown where my parents live is about a 6-hour drive from the place where I live. I remember back in the day when I was a bachelor, there was a long extended holiday for the city that I belong to because of some regional rituals that were being held. However, the hometown in which my mother belonged to, there was no holiday. A good friend of mine came home and he said, why don't we drive back to our respective hometown? And both of us had neighboring hometowns, so we thought it was a good idea because driving with a friend is always a good thing. It's not going to make you get tired. So I said, okay, let's go along. I didn't inform my parents because I thought it would be a surprise to them. I thought I would reach there by around 10 o'clock in the night, but I reached there at 1 a.m. I rang the doorbell. Mom opens the door. What is the first thing that any mother says when she looks at her son after a long break? Oh my God, you've lost so much weight. You get aside. What's the second statement any mother says? Why didn't you have dinner? It doesn't matter, even if you just had dinner, even if you had probably a 10-course meal, the mom always insists that the child has to have dinner. So I didn't have my dinner. I skipped my dinner because I knew mom would insist. So when I went and I sat down, mom decided to serve me dinner. She pulled out some stuff from the refrigerator, put it in the microwave oven, heated it, and served me. And as she was serving me, she asked me about my whereabouts. She said, how is life? How is business? How is your city? How are your friends? How is everything? And then suddenly she said, wait a minute. My son is driven all the way from a neighboring city for about 8 hours, and I serve him leftovers? She drags the plate towards her and she says, wait a minute, son. She goes to the refrigerator, pulls out the best ingredients that are there in the refrigerator, and cooks my favorite food in the middle of the night. Now, my mom is a working lady. She had to wake up at 5 o'clock the next morning, and she's a diabetic, so she had to prepare special food for her. But she never complained because she wanted to serve the best. Today, as members of a mighty global organization, are we serving leftovers or are we serving the very best that we can? I still remember my very first entry into Rotary. I was a member of Toastmasters International, as Michael had mentioned, and I had finished the first level, which was called the Competent Communicator Certification. And my mentor was a Rotarian, and he said, let me challenge you to a new audience. Why don't you go and speak to an absolute alien audience? None of you know who you are. And I was a 21-year-old person. I had no credentials. Besides, me being just a student who was a graduate and a person who had a little bit of inclination towards creativity. I went over there, I stood up, and I spoke. There were about 60 people in the audience. In the first 10 minutes, 60 became 40. In the next 20 minutes, 40 became 20. And the next 5 minutes, I stopped because I didn't want 20 to become 10 and 10 to become 5. The Rotarians were very kind and they said, why don't you join us for dinner? I said, no, I've got a dinner engagement. I had to leave the place. I was flushed with embarrassment. I thought it was the most disgusting speech I've ever given in my entire life, and I left the place. Subsequently, I realized that Rotary believes in the 5 avenues of service, one of which is club service. And one of the tenets of club service is making a guest feel at home. Well, today, when I stepped into this Rotary meeting virtually, there were 5 people who were present. Michael, my good old friend, or my good young friend, sorry, he's still a 27-year-old man. The way in which he greeted me, I was expecting it because he's my good friend. But the other friends like Randall, Kai, Irina, made me feel so much at home. And these are past presidents. One of them even texted me a message saying that if you were to come to Russia, this is my email address. I thought to myself, if that experience was my first experience of Rotary, probably I would have been a Rotarian. I'm not blaming that particular club, but this is what happened. I went back to my mentor of Toastmasters and I told him, this was a pathetic experience that I had. What do I do? He said, come back to the same club after 1 year. So I spent the next 1 year in preparing, working towards my competencies, and I came back to the same club to speak on the same topic. And this time around, I didn't face the lectern. I faced the bar and the place where dinner was served. I mean, everybody turned towards me, and I started off with this statement. I said, dinner will not be served unless you all finish listening to my talk. They all laughed. And at the end of the entire speech, I raised a toast for them, and they all gave me a standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, how is it that we want to possibly serve is actually the first step towards going ahead and saluting just about everything that you can do as a member of a global organization. So how do you go about it? The first thing, listening. Now, I'm going to give you all a very simple exercise right now, and I'm going to read out 5 sentences. And the first person who's going to respond to this first, second, third, fourth, and fifth is going to get a special reward from the Santa Claus of 2020, who's none other than Michael Claus. I mean, everything has changed in 2020. So even Santa Claus has changed his nomenclature, and he's called as Michael Claus. Okay, very simple. I'm going to read out the first sentence, and whoever gets it, please raise your hand and shout out the answer. Okay, and just repeat whatever I said. I'm just here to test your listening skills. The first sentence, everybody was wearing blue today. Yes, Michael.
Everybody was very blue today.
Excellent. Second statement, the power went due to a big storm last Monday morning. Okay, no cheating, no writing. I'm just testing your listening skills.
I don't see if any hands are up. Let me look at the gallery, see if any hands are up. Are any hands up?
Nobody. It's Michael again, huh?
Yes.
So Michael is going to reward himself, huh?
Yeah, power went to a big storm and I missed the last word. I'm sorry because I have tinnitus. I often miss the last word of a sentence.
Monday was the last word.
Last Monday morning.
Monday morning.
Okay, fine. The third statement, he usually eats 2 tacos and a Coke whenever he goes to Taco Bell.
Anybody?
It's Michael again.
Oh, no.
Okay,
no.
I saw Rami.
Rami.
Yeah, Rami. Huh? Yes, Rami.
He drinks Coke. That's what I remember.
He did other things also.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Kai. Yes, Kai. Huh?
He usually eats 2 tacos and a Coke when he goes to Taco Bell.
Okay, excellent. The next one. The 4 young children spent the whole afternoon playing on the swings and the slides at the local park.
Antonina.
Yes, the husband and wife are looking at each other, and the wife is telling husband, go for it.
4 young children playing
Yes, Antonia.
in park.
Okay, that's a good attempt.
You got very close.
You got it very close. Okay, the last one. As you can see, it's getting progressively more difficult. After running 4 miles on the beach, the young woman walked another mile in order to cool down and then went home and sipped a glass of her favorite green tea.
After running along the beach, the young lady walked another mile before having her favorite green tea.
Close.
Okay, that was close enough. Okay, fine. Let's hear a big round of applause for Robert. So, my dear friends, as you saw, listening is not easy at all. So, very simple. I think you need to put an extra effort in order to go ahead and listen. The second greatest quality that's required for you to be a good bottom-up leader is what is called as stewardship. Now, there's a story that's said in the part of the world that I live in. There was a businessman from the capital city that I belong to who had a foreign counterpart. He wanted to impress the foreign counterpart who was there in the same city by taking him to an Indian restaurant. He didn't want to take him to a 7-star restaurant or a 5-star restaurant because that would be like, I'm desperate to impress. So he wanted to take him to a mid-sized restaurant. He took his wife along in order to make the final call as to which restaurant was the one that he would be taking the foreign counterpart or the foreign business counterpart along, because he believed that women have better taste and women are a bit more sensitive towards the aesthetics. Women are definitely better when it comes to aesthetics. If you don't believe me, here's a simple example. A man's best friend is a dog. A woman's best friend is a diamond. So you know, obviously, who's got a better taste, right? That's what the De Beers ad says. De Beers, a woman's best friend. Dog, a man's best friend. That's what the old proverb says. So obviously, women have a better taste when it comes to aesthetics. So the man took his wife along because he knew that she would be in a better position to evaluate the colors, the contours, the sound, the everything in terms of the aesthetics, the cutlery and everything. So the wife was pretty happy because she didn't have to do the cooking, and she said, okay, 5 days, we will probably give it a shot. And she froze into one of the two restaurants, and she said any of these two restaurants are fine. Now the man invited the foreign counterpart and he said, excuse me, are you free this evening? I'd like to take you out for dinner. And the man was mighty impressed and he said, yes, I was looking forward to the opportunity to go into an Indian restaurant because a lot of things I'm not quite aware of, right from the items on the menu towards the table manners and everything. And the Indian said, here's my opportunity to impress this counterpart of mine. So he takes him to this restaurant and there's this Indian bread that is served. And he says, okay, the Indian bread, eat it with your hands. And there's the side dish. You probably dip it in, or you probably take it in a spoon. If it's extra spicy, you add a dash of lime. He explains everything to him. And the man is mighty pleased. The dinner goes on fine. And he suddenly remembers what his wife had told him. His wife had told him, look, if you're taking him to this particular restaurant, I insist that you order a faluda, because a faluda in this particular restaurant is a scream. So the man said, excuse me, I hope you enjoyed this dinner, but I insist that you need to have a faluda, because faluda in this restaurant is an absolute treat. He calls the waiter and he says, waiter, 2 faludas. And the waiter serves 2 faludas, one to the Indian and second to the foreigner. And the faluda that's served to the foreigner has a cockroach floating on it. And the Indian looks at it and he thinks, oh my God, I did everything in my purview to get this right. But this waiter blew it for me. And the foreigner is looking at it, and whatever impression was created just goes absolutely plummeting to reaching a ground zero. He calls the waiter and he says, waiter, what the hell is this? And the waiter looks at it. He doesn't know what is going on. And suddenly he sees the roach. He takes it, puts it in his mouth, swallows it, and he says, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I didn't know that both of you don't like cherries in your ice cream. And he walks away. And the foreigner almost falls off the chair. He gets up, he runs to the waiter, puts his arm on the waiter, and he says, calls the manager, and he says, manager, this waiter should be the manager in your hotel. And the manager says, what did I do? Why do you want to strip me of my job? And the foreigner goes about writing this article in a blog which is where I read the story, where he says, I've been through a lot of programs on service excellence. I've attended a lot of training programs and vocational workshops on customer service, customer dazzle, customer delight. I've read a lot of books on the subject, but the greatest illustration I can give you was from a restaurant in a place called New Delhi in a country called India. And this is what the waiter did. And I asked him this question, why did you have to do this? Why did you have to put yourself in so much of hardship? And he said, I belong to a country that believes in the philosophy that a guest is a god. You're my guest, you're my god. And sir, I'm a vegan. I shouldn't be eating anything that walks or crawls or flies. If I can sacrifice my faith for my philosophy, it's because I truly believe a guest is a god. Now that is stewardship at its highest. Here was a man who thought for 1 second, it's not just my responsibility. He could have possibly blamed the backend and said that, yes, the backend is possibly the place where all the errors are made, and he could have probably passed the buck. But no, he thought to himself, the responsibility for me, not just to salvage my restaurant's pride, but the pride of my customer and the pride of his particular service to his client, and eventually the nation's pride, which is at stake. In one shot, a person was able to encapsulate everything whatsoever, and that is stewardship. The third greatest thing, I'd probably given it as a TED talk. It's one of my most difficult TED talks. It's the second TED talk that I'd given, and the title of my TED talk was Dreams Are Overrated. I call it a difficult TED talk because as a motivational speaker, my job is to motivate people to pursue their dreams. And here I was telling that dreams are overrated. And the reason I said that was there's something greater than a dream, and that is a cause. When you're baptized in a cause that is unbecoming, you become a force to reckon with. A dream is something that comes with an expiry date, but a cause is something that lives on even after you're dead and gone. One of the persons that I met who actually saluted a cause in a very, very noble manner was a man called Aditya Tiwari. Aditya Tiwari was a single male who wanted to adopt a child. Now you may say that, oh, what's so great about it? So many single males are adopting children today. What is so great about it? Aditya Tiwari wanted to adopt a child who was 5 years old and who was suffering from Down syndrome. You may again say there's so many people who are trying to adopt children with Down syndrome. So what's so great about it? Aditya Tiwari was a single male who wanted to adopt a 5-year-old boy with Down syndrome and who had a hole in his heart. It's really crushing to know that children have a hole in their heart. What is even more ironic to note is that a lot of people have a hole in their head, figuratively speaking. And a lot of them don't even know about it, and some of them are parading as our world leaders. But the fact remains that Aditya Tiwari wanted to adopt a 5-year-old boy who was having Down syndrome, who had a hole in his heart, met with tremendous resistance from his parents and from the adoption agencies because they thought he wouldn't do a good job in taking care of this little boy who needed extra support. But that's not the greatest part. The greatest part is this: Aditya Tiwari wanted to adopt a child who was 5 years old, was down with Down syndrome, who had a hole in his heart, met with rejection from adoption agencies and from his own parents at an age where it was legally not acceptable in the country that he belonged to adopt a child. He was 25 years old, and the law of the land stated that he had to be a minimum of 30 years old for him to adopt a child. But Aditya Tiwari was baptized by a cause that is far greater than who he was. And so he decided to go ahead and challenge the law of the land. He wrote to the Prime Minister's office. He wrote to the Child and Welfare Department Minister. He went about soliciting the support of a lot of organizations who all went ahead and signed a petition. And Aditya Tiwari went on to winning the case So Aditya Tiwari became the youngest man at the age of 25 to adopt a child with Down syndrome, with a hole in his heart, met with rejection from his parents and from his adoption agencies at an age when it's not legally acceptable for him to adopt a child. And all this he did in order to fill the hole of the heart of a child with hope, with passion, and with the ability to go ahead and make a difference. Now, today, he's an advocate towards people with Down syndrome, and he puts his child on the front line saying that, yes, they can live for longer and they can live with a smile on their face. And I guess that is where Rotary comes into picture. Rotary is one of those organizations which actually talks about service at the highest level. So when it comes to service, are you trying to talk about something which is quite innovative? In the run up to this particular talk, I spoke to a lot of Rotarians, a lot of presidents. I'd like to thank Michael in particular for giving me over a month for me to go ahead and practice for this speech and to do my research. And some of the things that you people keep doing, and all the 5 avenues of service that you're talking about is not just inspiring, but it's awe-inspiring. Well, let me tell you something which I'd probably like to give the credit to Rotary. There's one of the high performance leadership project that I had to do for Toastmasters. And this particular project, it is the 3rd time. The highest level of Toastmasters is called the Distinguished Toastmaster certification. I'd already got the certification twice, but Toastmasters decided to change its curriculum to something called as Pathways. So I wanted to be the first in my country to finish the Distinguished Toastmaster certification through Pathways. And the final leg was what is called as the high performance leadership project, or the capstone. So for that, I thought to myself, now let this not be about me. Let this not be about an accomplishment. Let this be about an outreach. So I went to this particular foundation that runs a cancer hospital. And there was this medical director who took me along on a small tour through the entire hospital. I went through the pediatric ward, and there was a child who was 13 years old. He didn't have any hair in his head. And he saw my hairstyle, or the lack of it. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you also having cancer?" I said, "No, this is trending." He looked at me and said, "Oh, even this can be a kind of a style?" I said, "Of course it can." He smiled. And the doctor said he smiled after a long time. I went back to his cabin and I asked the doctor, "Doctor, so what are his chances?" And the doctor said, "Very, very slim." The doctor said, "Now, the chances of him even getting an admission into that hospital is difficult, because he comes from a family that is so poor that they cannot even afford to get him to the city. They get him on a truck that has all potatoes and onions placed in sacks. And every day in the morning, when the little boy gets up, he cries to his father saying that, 'Dad, it pains me. It pains me so much to sleep on those sacks of potatoes and onions.' And his father cries along with him, and he says, 'My son, I don't have a choice.' The doctor told me he needs a chemotherapy, he needs radiation as soon as possible, or we could lose him. So I thought to myself, what is it that I can do? The only gift that is acquired for me was public speaking. So I told myself, can I try to do something with public speaking? So I came across with this particular idea, stumbled on this idea. I called it the DJ's 100 speech marathon. I said, I'm going to give 100 speeches on the run without a break. It is going to be one of those never ending speeches of different genres, from a welcome address to a word of thanks. It included every form of speaking that I could conceive of, like a roast, a toast, a sermon, a commencement address, a Thanksgiving address, just about everything that I could possibly enlist. And that itself took me about a month. And I said, I'm good to go. A lot of people told me, are you sure? People are going to come and witness you speaking for about 15 to 18 hours. Are you sure people are going to pay you for this? But let me tell you something. Thanks to organizations like Rotary International, thanks to organizations like Toastmasters International, today that boy, Navdeep Reddy, is still alive and kicking. Today he has dreams of becoming the mayor of the small town that he belongs to, because he believes that as a mayor, he can build a cancer hospital for the same place that does not even have any hospital to its credit. So, my dear friends, there's so much that you can do. All I would suggest is please carry on with the great work that you're doing. I was going through your website, I was talking to a lot of people, and I would say that I was soaked in inspiration. I was soaked in inspiration by the kind of works that you're doing. All I would say is continue to go ahead and serve with the kind of freshness that is absolutely new. Try to go ahead and raise stewardship to the highest level. Push people to reaching their highest level of potential. You have something called a vocational service. A couple of months back, there's a particular organization that called me and they said, the youth of our country are losing their jobs. Can you give a motivational talk for them? That is a part of our vocational service. We would like to go ahead and have those kind of vocational skills, spreading the entrepreneurial spirit, kindling the entrepreneurial spirit in the youth of our country so that they don't need to rely on jobs as an important competency that they need to possibly salute. Go ahead and respect all these, and I think you could definitely make a difference. And finally, as my time is ticking off, I just like to leave you with just one story that the Irish always tell. A man died during the pandemic, and he went and he knocked the doors of heaven. St. Peter opened the door and he said, so you want to enter the gates of heaven? And the man said, well, of course, I want to. And St. Peter said, show me your scars. And the man laughed and he said, what scars are you talking about? I don't have any. St. Peter now laughed and he said, wasn't there anything worthy in your life worth fighting for? So, my dear friends, it is my wish, my hope, and my prayer that all of you find something new every day that is worthy of you standing up to fight for, worthy of you to keep that fire in you to keep burning. And when you try to go ahead and find that particular fire, the entire world would have rediscovered fire for the second time. And it's again my wish, my hope, and my prayer that the fire that emanates from within will go ahead and take you to a place where the mind is without fear, where the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world is not broken down into narrow domestic fragments, where words emanate from the depths of truth. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let this beautiful team of Rotarians wake up on this, the Tuesday, December 2020. Yes, wishing you all a Merry Christmas in advance. If there are any questions, I'm more than delighted to take them on the floor of the house. Thank you so much.
Good. Let's give him a round of applause, please, everybody. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, DJ. Appreciate that. I've heard one or two of your stories before, and you know what? It never gets old. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure for these people, it was the first time hearing you, but I've heard them a couple of times, and I'm charmed by them. I think you're very, very super, and we need more speakers like yourself to get out there and spread the word around. For the folks that we have on the screen, we have a small crowd tonight. Does anybody have a question for DJ? Any questions at all? No?
I have a
Okay,
question.
oh, there you go, Randall.
Just a quick one. DJ, you said you're living in Bangalore. Are you from Bangalore? Is that where you began your speaking career?
Yes, I live in I grew up in another city which is close by, which is called Chennai. And I did my education there. Then I moved to Bangalore for my higher studies, which is my post-graduation in management. And then I found a job there and I settled there.
Okay. Any other question, Randall? Any follow-on question? No? I have been to both Chennai and Bangalore, and Bangalore seems like it's moving faster, and the cars are faster, and the streets are more crowded. And Chennai is more large and spread out, but they both have their own cultures in those two different cities. Any other questions for DJ? Yes, Kai.
Sorry for slow unmuting. So I was wondering if you have been to St. Petersburg, and that would be nice if after the pandemic would have maybe the chance to invite you another time, and what do you think about it, like coming to our beautiful city?
Oh, I'd love to come. I think I'd love definitely. I'd accept the invitation. I'll leave my coordinates right away with you. Okay, so I'm not wasting any opportunity. I started my career in advertising, and one of the lines I gave to one of my clients was this: never miss an opportunity.
Kai, guarantee Kai, he's going to be invited after we're able to travel and these things settle down and so forth, because DJ and I plan on maybe tag teaming a few places. We're not sure yet. So he definitely will be invited here. And if we get him back here, we're going to get him back to the club again so he can see everybody. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I have a question for you, DJ. Your 100 speech continuation, the marathon you did run. What was the total time? Was it 18 hours or 24 hours, or what was the total time it took you to do that?
Yeah, it took 16 hours, but I think my friends ensured that it was a 24-hour run. After that, they ensured that they were along. It was the 15th of December, 2018, and just a week preceding Christmas. So they wanted the Christmas to begin early. So they had fresh homemade plum cakes, port wine, everything that was brought across. So the party was rolling on through the night.
Okay. All right. Because that's quite a stretch. I mean, I have talked along for many, many hours, as some of my fellow Rotarians here know. I have a hard time shutting up. But to speak, to continue to speak profoundly with some coherent information and pass that on for a long period of time, that's quite difficult. We have something in America, in our Congress, sometimes we have congressmen who want to stand up and do a filibuster and not give the floor to anybody else. So they speak continuously for several hours and pass it to another partner who keeps going. So those are difficult times. Those are very, very difficult. I thought your story that you told about the boy with a hole in his heart rang true to me, and I'm sure to Randall and maybe a few other people, because there's a club in Shanghai who has been helping children who are born with congenital heart disease with a hole in their heart. And they've been helping those children get the operations they need and then following them for several years. And the reward is getting to see them 10 or 15 years later when they're a walking around human who didn't die from the condition and so forth. And Randall was a big part of that. And we still are in contact with those folks and recently made a donation to their club because of the grant they're working on. But it's a great thing, and they've been doing that for 13 years. So that when you mentioned
Michael,
that,
we've been doing that for 21 years.
Excuse me, 21 years.
21 years, and the whole origin of the project, actually, it was inspired by India, because our first club international service project was working with Rotarians in Uganda to bring a child from Kampala to India, to a city called Coimbatore, where they had a Gift of Life India program.
Mm-hmm.
So when we sponsored that, I think we gave them $500 to that project, and then that inspired us to look locally to see if it could be done in Shanghai, where we actually had a lot of hospitals. So that's why we started 20 years ago doing that. So.
Yeah, I knew when he mentioned that, Randall, that would strike you because of his comments. And many of our other members who are here tonight know about that thing in Shanghai because we have contributed to help that club also. Any other questions
Can I say one more thing? So
sure,
since you mentioned
jump in.
So one of my Rotarian friends from Shanghai went back home to Delhi, and he is now the president of a club in Delhi, and he's actually raising money now for 4 children in Delhi. I think it's 4 or 5 children in Delhi who have congenital heart disease who need an operation. So things are going full circle from India to China to India, and now to St. Petersburg. So everything's connected. We're all connected.
Hopefully connected around the world. So, all right. Again, if there's any other questions for DJ, you're welcome to stay. We're going to be about another 20 minutes yet. You're welcome to stay. We're going to talk about our projects and so forth. Let's all give DJ another round of applause, please, for his great talk. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much, DJ. And I'm going to move on to our projects. Our projects is the next thing that we want to have up on our agenda that we're going to be talking about this evening. And that we're going to talk about briefly. Where did Andreas go? Where did Andreas go? He must have had to leave. I know he said he had something, but I wasn't sure what time he was going to leave. We have at the, what used to be called the Romanoff Center, it's a center where they take care of children with the cerebral palsy. And they not only help them with the orthopedics of building the shoe, but also of the therapy that they need for the physical therapy. Many different parts of their body are affected by cerebral palsy, not just their feet, but that is just one step of it. So we helped them a few years ago get a machine they needed to build the shoes correctly. And we've checked it out. It was fine. We went back over there as a group. We went over there about 5 weeks ago to look at the facility. It has drastically been upgraded. It has changed management, and they are doing great things. So we decided as a club that we wanted to pick a child and sponsor a child to go through the process that they need. It cost about 2,500 euros to do it. So we picked a child. We went ahead, made our donation, and that process is going on now. We've already made the payment and the child's going through the therapy. We're now looking for our second child to help there. I put that in a Christmas card, and some of you may have got my Christmas card or seen my Christmas card that I sent out for Rotary. And I told about that event, and I called for help. We have been overwhelmed now in the last week with several people who have offered quite a bit of money as well as support to do more. They're asking us about a global grant. And for those of you who may not know, someone like DJ, maybe someone else here doesn't know, but in the global grant, one club decides to do a project. They go out and pull from other clubs from other countries, and Rotary International helps sponsor the program also. We put it all together, and it is a large project. The last one we did was about $62,000 for the machinery that went into there. And we weren't the actual one that started it. It was another club. We only facilitated it because it was in our city. We're now getting people who want to donate more. They think this idea of helping these children is very good. There is a push from several different sources that say that the Americans and Russians need to be closer together, and they want to show the American support for Russian communities. Same way with Germany wanting to match with Russia to show their support to help that community. Natalie is on here. She does a project called Peace Polls. Again, she's working to try and figure out how to get more peace polls in Russia sponsored so people in Russia can understand that people around the world are feeling about the needs inside of Russia. So the ball is rolling. We don't know exactly when we will kick this off, probably sometime after the first of the year, but we're going to be looking at the second child very shortly. And then we need to figure out how big we want to scale this, because being a small club, we don't want to scale it so big that it's unmanageable. So we may be calling out to some of the other clubs that are on the screen here tonight to help us to manage this project here inside of Russia. We know that we have 4 clubs in St. Petersburg. We have more clubs in Moscow, even have an English-speaking club there that we're talking to. So we're going to be pulling our strings from different countries, different places, different cities. We'll pull those strings together and see what we can do. But this rehabilitation center is a very, very nice place. If you've been to Russia and been to some of the factories, or you've been to Russia and you've been to some of the hospitals, you might think that maybe it's not so good. In Russia, a year ago, the government surveyed 193 different organizations around Russia. And out of those, this one ranked number 3 out of 193. So they're very near at the top of their quality, their openness, their helping people, and being legal and honest. They looked at all these things and it ranked number 3 out of 193. So it's a very prestigious award for them. So we know they're doing good work. And we are working with them one-on-one. Andreas, our treasurer, who's unfortunately had to leave this evening early, he is our contact point over there, and he's been going there and talking to them, and he's the one who's facilitating this. So we're going to continue to push that. Some of you in our mailing list, you will see another mailing in another week that will come out to you again with another Christmas card and another request for this, just to keep this on people's mind. It is the holiday season right now. People are in a gift giving mode, and we want to try to use this to help as many children as possible. We don't know how many that's going to be. Right now it's been one. We're working on a second one, but we don't know how many it will be. And there's an awful lot of children that need to go to that place. And the children we pick are financially incapable to have this done. That's one of the prerequisites when we talked to them there. We said, we want to know who is your children that want to get in, but the parents don't have the money. The parents can't afford it. They want to get in to get this treatment. Those are the ones that we want to help. So we're focusing on it. We're building on it, but it's still maybe a month or two away to being fully rolled out. So if you're already started supporting us, as I know Antonina has, as a few other folks have, just be a little bit patient. We're going to grow more. We're going to do more, but it takes a little bit of time to get all this organized and get it going right, because we don't want to miss a step in doing it. So that is our largest project that we're working on, and we want to keep that going. So if there are any questions about what we're doing, we now call it the CRC, the Children's Rehabilitation Center. They've changed their name. We shortened it to 3 letters so that when we talk about it, it's easier. Is there any questions about the CRC or what they're doing? Anybody here on the screen have a question? Anybody? Nobody? I guess I spoke too much then, because I gave you too much information if you know everything. So I have a tendency to do that. People who know me as a trainer know that I tell everybody everything 3 times. First time you don't hear it. Second time you hear part of it. By third time, maybe you understand it. So oblige me in my effort of talking about it 3 times. Okay, I will move on to the next project. Next project is a bench project. Here in St. Petersburg, our club started a project a few years ago, putting in park benches. What we're actually doing is replacing, taking out the old benches and putting in the new benches. We don't physically move it out and in. The city government does that, but we are sponsoring the benches to be built here locally. These benches all have a large Rotary symbol, large one, right in the middle of it, and the people's names who donate to it. If it's a club, the club's name. If it's an individual, individual's name. Some of you on the screen here may have already contributed, and your name is already there. We put 18 benches in a very, very prestigious place. DJ, if you ever do come to St. Petersburg, I'm sure one of the places they're going to want to take you is the Hermitage. The Hermitage is probably the #2 museum in the world after the Louvre. It is fantastic. It's the #1 drawing site here in St. Petersburg. Outside the Hermitage, there is a large park with a fountain in the middle. There are now 18 benches around that fountain. Over 1 million people a year come here to go to the Hermitage. They come and sit on those benches. They walk through that little park area. They see the Rotary name on Russian benches here in St. Petersburg. It's a great way to let the local people know that we are helping Russia in the community. So that project is almost finished, except for the government signing off. Our person who is working with the government was on our meeting earlier tonight. Irina was here. Some of you saw her before she had to leave. She's a professor, teaches at the university, and she had to go night classes, so she had to leave. But she has got it to the point where all they're waiting now is for a letter from us, which I will send them tomorrow, and then we will finalize that. Now we're asking them, what other park do you want? And we're so very blessed, so very lucky. We already have sponsors in the United States who are waiting to pay for the next round of benches. We got people who already want to donate more. So we have to coordinate it, we have to organize it, and then we have to make sure it's done correctly. So that's going to be another project that we will be working on. So we're going to have 2 projects of substantial size that will take labor and time and money. So it's going to keep our small club busy. And we will be calling on some of you around the world for support and help. We believe that when a leader asks for help, it is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. A weak leader will never ask for help. They will try to do something, they will fail, and then they're going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I failed. That's a weak leader. A strong leader is going to say, I know there's something that either I cannot do, or there is something that I do not know, and I need help. That's a strong leader. And then we're going to be asking for help because we do need help with some of these things. We're a small club. We're not so large. We need manpower, we need donations, and we need some of your publicity help. So we will be calling on some of you for those things. So those are two projects that we're going to continue to work on. Any questions about the benches? I know a few of you already donated to the benches. Any questions? No questions. Boy, tonight's a lucky night. Nobody wants to ask questions on anything. Not my projects, not DJ, whatever. We got very few questions tonight. Time is flying by much faster than what it normally does for us. Normally, we'd be getting done about another 20 minutes later than this. Yes, Antonino.
Let me ask you a question, Michael, so you
Okay,
can
go right
speak
ahead.
out tonight.
Hello, good evening. Glad to see you can make it.
Yeah, no, I'm listening the whole evening already. It was wonderful. It was wonderful, and to listen to Justin or Deepak. I don't know what your first name. I'm sorry.
Deepak, first name
Deepak. Was great to listen to. So my question for you is, I saw the benches there. I just hope my computer. Do you still hear me, or is my computer?
Yes, we can hear you. We hear you.
Yeah, I got a problem with my computer tonight. There are many benches there. Where would be the next tranche of benches? Where would they be installed? Or where would they be?
Field of Mars.
Ah, okay. Must have.
And we don't know if they're going to agree to that or not. For those of you who don't know St. Petersburg, we have a place called the Field of Mars. It has an eternal burning flame in the middle of it, and there are benches around that area. It is surrounded by lilac bushes in the summertime that bloom so beautiful. And it's also populated by a lot of tourists, and a lot of local people like to go there also. But that's going to be our next choice. We also are open to the city telling us what they think, where they would like to have us do it at. So we'll see what kind of answer we get back out of them. But again, it'll be a high profile place where other people will see that Rotary is trying to help the local communities. This is how we try to build membership, by getting these people interested in helping their local community and seeing that we are doing something, just like with Natalie and her peace polls. She's helping people around the world to understand that we want peace. We do not want all the wars and problems we've had in the past. And we're trying to get people to understand that we're all speaking the same language. On her peace polls, 4-sided poll, there is different languages, sometimes 4 languages, sometimes only 2, but 2 sides each, sometimes 8 languages on them. But they are peace polls, a few meters high out of the ground, and usually put in distinguishing places, like in front of a library or in front of a museum or somewhere where a lot of people are going to see it. Again, just trying to call attention to people, knowing that Rotary is trying to help peace around the world. So there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of people in America who want to get into Russia to help, but right now nobody can get in. I can't even get out, but they can't even get people to get in. So we're waiting. Many of you have said you want to come back to St. Petersburg. We're going to welcome you with open arms as soon as that happens, as soon as it's been lifted. And we have a lot of people who want to help us. Randall is on board. Where'd Randall go to? Randall lost us. I'm sure he's here because he's a Zoom master for us, so he's around somewhere. Randall has been doing a great job contacting folks. I have been contacting folks, and between the two of us, we have been pushing for more speakers to come in and more people. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Any other comments? Any other things you want to talk about this evening? Nothing. Oh, Kai, you have a comment?
Andreas just joined. Yeah.
Good evening, Andreas. You just joined us. Good evening.
Hi. Good evening.
So we, like I said, are a small club. You guys are our lifeline. You're our lifeline. You're our connection to all the parts of the world. And you take somebody like Barrett on your screen. You can see the lady in the nice red sweater there with glasses. Barrett was over here as our member for several years, her and her husband. And now they moved away. They're in another country, but they still come back to our meetings. So it's sort of a connection, sort of a family. And again, if you take care of these people, as I've been telling you for weeks and weeks on this forum here, if you take care of the people will take care of the process. Take care of your people in your clubs, in your family, and at work. If you do those 3 areas and you focus on the people around you, you're going to see great things happen. My job here is relatively easy. I've got some really good workers here, and we talk about what they need to do, and off they go. and they're doing good things. So I encourage you to try to get those done and do it that way. So we have a guest this evening, Devaraj. What did you think?
Yes.
What did you think about tonight's meeting?
Well, wonderful. It's a very nice experience for me, and hearing DJ speak was a great pleasure. And I do. I heard that you guys are looking for other members, but may I know what exactly is the criteria for selection, or for who is a Rotarian, in your opinion?
Okay, Rotarians are professionals who want to serve their community. We not only serve the community of St. Petersburg, but also the community of Russia and the community of the world. Rotary many years ago decided they wanted to eradicate polio around the world. It was our single largest push for Rotary International around the world. We put many millions of dollars into it, and now polio is about 99% eradicated, and it's only exists in a couple countries where we cannot get into, like Afghanistan and Pakistan. Otherwise, almost every country, polio has been eradicated out of the donations from Rotarians. And we not only use our own donations, we go talk to business people, and there's a lot of business people out there and say, I'm awfully busy, I don't have time to join Rotary, but I'd like to make a donation. Sure, make a donation, we'll take it, we'll put it to good use. Rotarians are people who want to serve their community, local, national, and international. And we also teach them along the way about leadership. We have given them an opportunity to learn some leadership skills so that they can grow individually. It's also about networking with companies that you may want to know, and maybe that you have somebody, as an example, Kai is a contractor and I need something built. Instead of me going out and talking to somebody I don't know, I might call a contractor I know and say, Kai, come take a look at what I want to do, and maybe I can give you some work. We do help each other where possible, but that's not the primary focus of us. Primary focus is we want to serve the community, but we also take advantage of the friendship, the camaraderie, the colleagues that we build, and the people around the world. So I think that we need to get you more information, Devaraj, and I'm sure that Randall and I will be talking to you, and we will be able to be happy to send you some information for you to review at your own leisure, your own time, and when you're ready, you can sit down with us and we'll have a conversation and find out if you have any other questions. We'll be happy to answer those for you. But primarily, we're here to serve our community and serve the world eventually when we reach out far enough. So, but I'm glad you enjoyed the meeting this evening. Any other visitor? I think everybody else I know on the screen, everybody else has been here before. Yeah, yep. Tom and David and Nancy, you've all been here before, and Barrett, you've been here before, and Tanita. So I think that's about all. Is there anybody I missed? Randall, you still there? Is there anybody I missed? Maybe he's dealing with his children. He's got children at home tonight, so I know he's got some issues with that. Kai, is there anybody else I missed? I think I got everybody right. Okay. Last thing on the meeting. The meeting planning. Right now for our club, we were going to have our Christmas party on the 23rd. Then we were going to have it on the 21st. Now we're going to have it on the 22nd. It's jumping around because of people having different things going. It will be online. It's not going to be personal. It's going to be online, and it's going to be on the 22nd. We just have to work out some more details. I know you folks probably won't join us, but you're going to be getting an invitation anyway to come join us for an hour, that we're just going to basically sit back, relax, and have some conversations, have a little fun, tell a joke or two, just relax, just as we would during a Christmas party. So we need to start thinking about that, and that's going to happen. We don't have another meeting scheduled until the 13th of January. And at that one, we will have Wilf Wickerson here, the past president of Rotary International. And we're really looking forward to that. So we're going to be marketing that hard to get as many people as we can have come into that, because we think that it's a good thing, and that's going to be on the 13th. So from now until the 13th, except for our Christmas party, we're pretty much shut down. We got a lot of work to do with those benches and with the CRC Center. So there's a lot of things to be taken care of by our members. with our small team. So we will be working on those. Any closing comments from anybody who would like to make comments? And then we're going to close the meeting, although we'll stay online for another 10 or 15 minutes, but we will certainly be here to chat if you want to chat. Any other comments from anyone? DJ, did you enjoy yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would like to compliment all of you for being such a warm and a welcoming crowd. Unlike the first experience that I had in Rotary, this is the best experience I had in Rotary. All smiling faces, very receptive, very warm, very cordial, very welcoming. And I think the president is also drinking for that. Toast to you.
Yeah, the only bad thing about these meetings and many of the Toastmasters meetings, many of them go right through the middle of my dinner time. What is my normal dinner time? So I have a slice of pizza over here on the side, and I got a glass of beer. So I got to get my dinner done. Otherwise, I don't feel well. So I want to make sure that I keep my schedule. So I try and do it during the meeting, sneak it when I can. So no other comments at all? Okay, I'm going to officially close the meeting. Meeting is closed, and we hope to see you all. Now, before you run away, don't run away yet. We got one more thing to do. Now, what we've been doing is we've been making a toast, but instead of making a toast, tonight we're going to sing a song. Very short song, and I'm sure you all know the words. The words are not very difficult. The words go, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Just 4 lines, very simple. I'd like everybody, please turn on your microphone at this time. Everybody, please turn on your microphone. Only 4 sentences. I wish you a Merry Christmas 3 times, and then a Happy New Year is a 4th line. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you all very, very much. Oh, I got a picture of an island on my screen. I don't know where that came from. Randall put that there? Where did that come from?
That's from Beaverton, from Tom.
Ah, Natalie. Natalie put that island on there.
Tom. Yeah. Wonderful.
Natalie, is that island in outside Oregon, or is that near Kamchatka?
No, I think Oregon. I think Tom put it. Tom, is that you?
I think know.
That's Tom, yeah. It's
Tom.
Green, yeah.
This is Tom.
Actually, I used the strong rights of a past president and stopped the sharing.
This is Tom.
I don't know where that island came from. The island just popped up all of a sudden. Hello.
No, I didn't put it up.
They're blaming you, Tom. I see. Okay. Probably you're in cahoots with David. I mean, with Randall. You're probably here. You and Randall probably got in cahoots to put that island up. So
somebody else.
Okay. Well, again, we wish that everybody just stay safe and healthy. We know that all over the world, there's still a lot of sick people and there's a lot of things going around. And we know it's going to get better. We just don't know when. So we just wish all of you a very, very safe and happy holiday. And we will be in contact. Randall and I will be sending out mail messages